If he has a problem, be open with it. That yes, he's been having. In fact, if I were the governor, I will set up an NGO that is, I will ask someone to set up an NGO that looks at small issues like this and put money to it. So you can subtly hint that I had this problem, but I grew up to this. I was able to develop myself. I was able to manage it. So anybody else can manage it. You understand? These are some of the nuances that we should be seeing in our democracy, in the way we engage with the public. But our leaders are always slow in the uptake in doing things like this.
Okay, well, now the backlash is there. Social media, a lot of people are giving, the governor.
Oh yeah, they should give
a lot of backlash. Now, but how can his government, his administration right now, work to regain public trust and confidence in their ability to actually manage the state's finances?
That is going to be difficult because you see, the thing is that I can reason this way because I have had the opportunity of speaking with people, the highly placed people, that you don't even know they have some of these, so-called glitches within, in their delivery, in the way they do things. You understand? People with fierce temperament, but outside, the image that has been cultivated is that of a gentle soul. You understand? I have seen a lot of people. I've seen their shortcomings, but they were properly managed. If I tell you about the story, one of my very, very senior editors told me about a former president in Nigeria. His temperament, after an interview, he just walked him out and immediately seized his, tape recorder and threw it in the fire. You know, I don't want to mention him. Yeah, they can be that, because the man suddenly, saw that there was some elements of, some things he said on tape that he doesn't want to go out. And at the end of it, he started, trying to make amends for what he has done. So you see all manners of things like that, but because of their handlers, you hardly see all those things in the public. They were properly managed. You understand? But of course, a lot depends on the leader too. If he's bold enough to allow that to, to be managed.
All right, thank you so very much for that. Let's quickly move ahead. Don't forget you can join the conversation at any point on 0807 777 9927. And before we go to another story, let's also let you know that we're streaming this program live on Facebook and also on YouTube.
And it's on Facebook at 4FMNG and on YouTube at 4FM927. We're streaming live. You can get in on the live action happening in the studio right now. Now, moving on. Well, it looks like we have a national grid collapse again for the 12th time in 2024. We had a lot of that in October and in November, and then now it's happening again.
12 times?
It's about 12 times.
Still counting. Well, before the year ends, it means it's December already, it's collapsed 12 times, so that means once in a month. We have one collapse once a month. It's really sad.
It's not funny, really, but what do we do when you find yourself in this kind of situation? What do? You just trying to find the humorous side of it, and just see if we can live our life, as best as we can. But you see, the problem, like I said, is still you have a similarity with that of Pebble thing, the inability to manage crisis. That has always been our problem. You see, rather than seeing all the bad about that collapse, we could look at it from another. Let's take another look at it from another angle. What it simply means that the infrastructure is burdened by heavy load. So what that translates to is that the demand for power is so high that our infrastructure cannot cope with it. That is another way of looking at it. That is, if we are going to take any positives out of it. So what that equally translates to is that our country is growing. So now the issue now is, how do we make the infrastructure grow pari passu, go alongside, the huge investment, the huge growth in our economy, in the need for power and the rest of them. That is where the problem is. And that is where there is failure of governance. And that is what is really saddening. Other countries, when things like this happen, they see it as a huge challenge, a big positive. And from that positivity, they reel out things, they reel out solutions. But you see, here we tend to fib and blubber and say all manners of things. First, you say it's the bandits that are causing it. You say vandals are cutting cables, and all manners of excuses will be reeled out to the public. So at some point, what you see generally is total disillusionment. You understand? So that is really the tragedy of the situation, honestly.
So now it looks like the budget for 2025 is starting to come up. It's already out here, and you know it's out there. So is this national grid problem? Is it going to be continuously be a problem in 2025 as well?
Unless federal government
is it part of the budget? Is it part of like?
Of course, they're always budgeting money for all those for infrastructure upgrade. Yeah, it's always. So
are we expecting it to be better in 2025 because 2024 has been a really bad run for the national grid.
Don't forget that here we did say something about I did say something that what we need on the average is $10 billion invested in the power sector alone for us to even enjoy a minimum of stable electricity. Where do we get that kind of money? With the kind of what I think, what has been suggested, if you recall, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, in 2007, during his campaign, the campaign, said the first thing he's going to do is to declare emergency in the power sector. That will be the first and only time. Well, Peter Obi said the same thing too, that there should be a national emergency. But each time they get, when they get into power, something happens. And that is the politics, that is the dangerous politics within that sector that people are not seeing. When Jonathan took over, there was this case of the man that is currently behind the revolution in Aba Power something. What's the name? Birth Naji. Birth Naji of what's the name of this? This power.
But he was once a former minister of power.
He was sacked.
Yeah,
he was sacked. Why was he sacked? Till date, nobody can say concisely exactly why the man was removed from that thing. But within the period the man was there, you could see a lot of development happening. So that tells you that there is an abracadabra that is happening within that sector that most Nigerians are not being told. You see, unless we shine light into that darkness, we're not going to have a solution. That's the honest truth. And that was why I said it depends on how we want to look at it. These are our problem. Then you throw it out to the public, let the public bring solution. You will be so shocked. Let me tell you, you will be so shocked that what the solution is so simple. So simple. But because of the vested interest in it, vested interest that are feeding fat from that power thing, you won't have a solution. It's just like the turnaround maintenance, that you have in the refineries. That's why the refineries has been growing. They were every year they pump out money for turnaround maintenance time, every year for the refineries. And a lot of guys were feeding fat. One of the people that was feeding fat from that time thing happens to be one of the owners of one of the discos in the country. So you see a lot of huge vested interest in some of these things. So that is why it's been so difficult. It's like we don't even have a solution. We don't even know exactly what is happening. Each time we have a power grid, we treat it like a normal thing, and we just keep on lamenting, putting our hands on our heads, sitting on our hands, and or whatnot.
Well, let me ask you. On a very on a lighter note, anyways. You said we should shine lights into the darkness in the power sector. But again, where is the light that we're going to shine? So I was my question then is, what does this say about the people in the ministry? What does it say about the Minister of Power? Year in, year out, we pump money into the power sector. I think it's going to be probably from the budget, I think the third or the fifth largest, every year in, year out like that from 1999. A lot of people still say that in the past we had better power, or some people say, no, it was better, it has improved and it's better now. But again, what does it say about the people there? And then how much of attention is the power sector given by the president? If we can have this 12 times, then what does it say about the capability of the people handling the power sector?
I don't think it's about the capability. Look, let us not kid ourselves, please. To the credit of subsequent presidents, they have always had good guys to man the place. Okay, look at Fashola, for instance. Are you going to tell me that Fashola is incompetent as a governor? Look at the kind of thing he did in Lagos. No, these are very competent hands. Even I am the current power minister, Adelabu. Adelabu is all over the places. The man is doing things, but you see this cabal. Let me just describe that. This coterie of interests, are just so powerful, very, very strong. And I dare say that a lot of past leaders, presidents, head of states, military, and otherwise are seriously involved in it. You understand? So you have to assuage this interest. You have to assuage interest. So what it takes is a very, very strong president with huge political will to really push, to make this happen. That is the simple truth. So there is no need kidding ourselves about it. In fact, I would prefer a situation where you see the president himself taking on that portfolio, like they do in petroleum, where you have only a minister of state, but the president is a minister of petroleum. So I would rather have it in the power. So everything stops at your, at your desk. Because you see, that presidency that you see, there's something IBB said once about the Nigerian presidency. When they told him about why he's been so quiet, then he said, look, you see that presidency that you've seen there, after God, is the Nigerian presidency. As far as Nigeria is concerned, the enormous power that is within that office. So we are talking of histories. Everybody that has passed through that place, he has your record. He can deploy, with the snap of his finger, to settle a problem. So when you put that on your desk, you understand, then you have some of these issues. That kind of a president can call you and say, see, come, this is what I'm willing to give because I want this to happen. How do we go about it? That is the carrot. So nobody will tell you that there is this stick somewhere. You understand? But you see, like I said, maybe, because when they are ill, they travel abroad where there is constant power. So when they want to do holidays, they travel abroad where they have a constant power supply. Their businesses going on and things like that. They are totally disconnected from what the average man faces on the street. Maybe that is why they don't see it as that serious. But it is very serious. Very, very serious.
Okay, well, let's move away from that conversation and onto this one where there is an update on Farotimi's case. Well, it says the court has halted publication and sale of Farotimi's book and, orders police and DSS to seize copies. That's the book, the controversial book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. What does this say to the freedom of speech in Nigeria?
Well, you see, freedom of speech is guaranteed by the Constitution. Let us be clear about that. And let us equally be clear, too, there is a limit to your freedom of constitution. I'm sorry, freedom of speech. freedom of speech. Don't forget that there is this saying that is attributed to the former Ugandan president that I can guarantee freedom of speech, but freedom after speech,
I cannot guarantee.
I cannot guarantee. So that is what we are seeing in Nigeria. But having said that, when you find yourself in the pit, you don't continue digging. That is all this getting DSS to come and take off the book. I'm looking for that book. Let me be very clear. Because that is, I'm a reader. I read. That is the human psyche is curious about anything forbidden. A very good example.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. Sex issue, for instance. Why is it that I'm not making excuses for any promiscuity or things like that. Why is sex so attractive? It's because it's mostly forbidden. That's the human nature. We are so inquisitive about things that are forbidden. So you see, like I said, if that thing had been a civil matter, we won't have the kind of pandemic that is going on here about that book. Look, as they are confiscating the book, go online. They are sharing it. I was in the they are sharing it online.
Oh, well, they've barred it.
But they also barred it online.
It says soft copies, hard
anyone.
copies, digital, any publishing, selling, circulating, advertising, or distributing,
reselling
on social media, out of social media, barred.
Now
again, I want to ask you. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And I think a few Nigerians will be like, okay, Farotimi, what is his issue? Who is he dealing with, and who is dealing with him?
Very, very powerful interest in the judiciary. That's what I can say. And especially considering, the little excerpts I've seen of that book. It's telling you a lot of, that is, what he's alleging is that a lot of rot happens there. And the perception generally is that the guy is right. And, for you to have the system roll on him the way he has, that means he has stepped on very, very powerful tools That's the simple truth. And, as to what extent this will go, look, let us go back into history. What made the Bible so popular? It was because it was banned at some point. If they catch you reading the Bible in those days, they put you on a stake and burn you alive. Yeah, it happened. That was what gave birth to your printing press. You understand? So you see, all these things will go into the dark web where DSS can't follow. You've heard of the dark web now? So you are going to drive them underground, and that is where people will go. They will go there and ferret it out. The Protestantism in Christendom, how did it happen? It was because it was bad. Islam, because there was persecution of the Holy Prophet. Because the human psyche will yearn for the truth. We always yearn for the truth. So that was why his followers followed him on the Hijrah. Then the Quran came out. You understand? And the rest is history. And it's all over the places. That is always the thing about when you try to suppress, free speech. When you try to suppress free speech about a person's belief, about a person's opinion, there is always resistance from the depth of the human soul. And that is what they are going to find out the hard way, that it's not going to stop anything. It's not going to stop anything.
Do you see him coming out of this anytime soon? Because again, he's been denied bail. We had the conversation yesterday.
I don't see him coming out. Given histories have shown that, you see, when the owners of Nigeria, let me put it that way, he decided to deal with.
Well, is it not you and I?
On paper, yes.
Okay.
So not anytime soon then.
Well, you see, but there is something. I read something while coming in this morning that some people there has been some rapprochement at the top level, and he has given conditions. I don't know how far that is true, so I don't want to repeat it online. That he has given conditions if they want him to drop the charges, that he needs this and this and that. That's Afe Babalola.
Okay.
But so there can't be, because the truth is, the longer that thing prolongs, he's not doing that man. He's not doing his name. He's not doing his legacy any favor at all. Yeah.
So you probably let's just speculate a little bit. Probably some of these conditions will be a public apology, and they're probably retracting the statements.
Probably.
So do you think Farotimi will do that? So come to do that, if at all?
Have you ever seen Farotimi speak?
All right. Of course, a lot of times.
Man, that guy is
fiercely speaking.
let's
drop the conversation there. Nicholas, thank you for coming this morning. We had a great time. We're sure to be back tomorrow, same time, 8 to 8:30. My name is Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us.